So we will start our class. Okay? So you are able to audible, right? Everything.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, fine. So we'll start our class. Okay. So last class, so if you remember, so we have almost discussed all the important things in this finite difference. Okay. So we have discussed about this, the most important thing, that is, absorbing boundary conditions. Okay. So they become very important when you are doing, this infinite mediums, when you are representing infinite mediums in finite element or even, the finite difference methods. Okay. So what is the principle? No. So what is the principle we are doing, in the last class? What is the basic philosophy behind this absorbing boundary conditions? No.
So making it stress-free by
Okay.
introducing antisymmetry stresses.
No, no, stress free is what? That is on the free surface. Okay, stress free means stress is equal to zero. You understand? So that antisymmetry will give you, this zero stress. So if you want to make anything zero, say we use this antisymmetry to represent free surfaces. Okay, now absorbing boundary condition is different. What is absorbing boundary condition?
To avoid, we are introducing a boundary condition such that that wave will get damped.
So which means representing infinite medium. Okay, so now as I already told you, you have infinite medium in this directions, say. Okay, so now what we are doing is we are modeling only this much portion only in our finite difference or FEM. Okay, this is stress free is different. So now but for modeling, you can't, since you can't model the entire thing, so we model this region only. You understand? So this is my original region, you see, which I do it in my finite difference method. And this what we do is we introduce some artificial the layers actually. Okay, and now how did we do, like in the last class? I told you, right, two methods are widely used. What are those methods? No.
Perfectly matched
PML
layer,
method and
paraxial
paraxial.
boundary condition.
So paraxial is the oldest, okay, the classical method kind of a thing. The recent one is a perfectly matched layer. Okay, so now in paraxial, how he has solved? So now in both the methods is same. How we are solving? So this region you have this original equations of motion. Okay, so whatever velocity stress formulation you have here. Now in this layer, say this is a paraxial layer or PML layer. Here what to do is, we write, we have derived a new equation of motion actually. Okay, so we have derived this a new equation of motion. Okay, in both the cases. So basically you have original equations inside, but in this region, say you have paraxial equation, you have this PML equation is there. Okay, so now in the paraxial case, I think we already wrote those equations, I think, in the last class. Okay, some three equations are there. So those equations, basically the solution of those equations are damped waves actually. Okay, so whatever wave comes, you follow it, it goes dies down. Okay, so like where is that paper? No, just 1 second. So this you follow, right, the paper. So not this one, I think. I think we wrote for the, I think, yes. So for acoustic wave equation, if you have, say, so suppose if the original wave equation, so dou square p by dou x square, so dou square p by dou z square, say, okay, is 1 by v square dou square p by dou t square. Okay, so suppose if this is our original equations of the motion which you have to solve. Okay, so now this is the equation. motion. Now in the this border region, our equation of motion will be this one actually. So dou p by dou z plus 1 by v dou p by dou t. Okay, so this is my a1 I am saying. Okay, this is the first way. Okay, so these are the two equations basically. So now when you are having this type of a boundary say, so now the equation of motion is this in the original domain, whereas in this region say this is the equation which you have to solve actually. Okay, so now both the equations you can represent in terms of the finite difference approach. So dou p by dou z, dou p by dou t, say you do as your finite difference calculations. So now what you have to do now at this boundary say, so this is my real medium actually. Okay, so when I'm going to this medium, so the finite difference equation of this has to be used in this region actually. Okay, whereas here you use this original equation itself. Now as already I told you, the solution of this equation is like this. Okay, so it takes automatically, you followed it, the waves will die down. So in the paraxial approximation, say, so we had three approximations, some A2, A3 we had. So they are basically based on the Taylor series expansions. Okay. So Taylor series expansion, the first term, second term, third term, if you do say, so these three equations comes. So this is how we try to do it in a, suppose for examples, you are simulating in, two dimension. Okay, so 100 kilometer by some, 50 kilometer, this much region. Okay, so now this is my region. Okay, so this is 100 kilometers I am having here. Then I have 50 kilometers, this region. And now to do this paraxial boundary condition or whatever, what you will do in FEM or in our finite difference approach, what you will try to do. And anyway, this surface is stress free. Okay, so there is nothing to worry on the surface. So here the boundary condition will be stress is antisymmetric actual. Okay, so minus of sigma of x. So this anyway stress is 0, you will write. Now you have to obtain, so this medium is infinite actual in this direction, in a depth direction also say. So the medium goes from 0 to infinity, whereas here it goes from minus infinity to infinity. So now I can't model minus infinity to infinity, 0 to infinity in my real on a computer. So what I'm doing is I'm modeling a small region, 100 kilometer by 50 kilometer region. And now so now here anyway the surface I have the boundary condition. Now at this sites what should be my what should I do? Here what is that I do? In this region say. Now what we generally do is you follow it, you increase some 10 kilometers, say 10 kilometer or whatever, you followed it some extra. So generally what, so if I want to model 100 by 50 kilometers say, so let us say I will model this 110 by some 60 or something like that, so this domain I will do. So now in 100 by 50 kilometers say, so my equation of motion will be, this is my original equation of motion actually. Okay, but whereas in this small region say I will use this, this is my equation of motion. So now here what I do is at the boundaries I will calculate pressure or velocity and stresses at this boundary. Now when I come to from this point to this point, I will use this finite difference equation. Okay, so this way we try to do this absorbing the boundary condition. They act like a sponge kind of a thing. Okay, so now I think last class we discussed A1, A2, A3. I think I forgot to send the paper, but you can find out the reflections. Okay, what is the most important thing we observed in our last class when it comes to paraxial boundary condition? Yeah. Which is
With the
most
increase
efficient? Which is more efficient? A1, A2, A3.
A3, A2.
Uh,
So
A3
A3
was
is more effective.
because why? What do you mean by efficiency?
So yeah, efficiency is in terms of reflection of waves, sir.
Reflection of wave, but the most yesterday we said right. What is the
Angle of incidence will be
angle of
more.
incidence? Okay,
Angle
so
of
suppose if I, so you followed, so but all paraxial boundary conditions when the wave is at 90 degrees, all of them fail actually. Okay, the reflection coefficient is 1 almost, it waves, but for other angles is a 45 degree, 10 degree, this one, you may get some the exact solutions. Okay, this is how it comes. So when you are trying to simulate at this place, you followed right. So here if I am simulating ground motion or whatever, say the stress distribution here which is very close to the boundary, so if you model this paraxial say, so here the solution will be nicely like this actually. But if you have not simulated properly say, so now what happens, the reflected waves also comes back and they join, you followed it, our solution becomes a noisy kind of a thing. So this portion comes from these type of the errors actually. Okay, so this is one thing which we have discussed in our last class. So observing boundary condition means it is not a boundary condition in this one. So the equation of motion is different, okay, in that region, but the equation of motion is written such that if you solve this equation, say, automatically you will get damped waves actually. That is the philosophy behind this observing. Okay, and then we also discussed this perfectly matched layer. What do we do in perfectly matched layer? Last class we told, right? What do you mean by PML layer? What is meant by PML layer? Like yesterday I told you, right? What is the basic philosophy behind this? It is a
Viscoelastic layer.
it is nothing but a viscoelastic material. Okay, so it is same as a viscoelastic medium. So suppose if you are solving elastic medium problem, say, so this region will be elastic. Now in this small 10-kilometer region, say, you will have a viscoelastic material. And this viscoelastic material, so equations of motion we already know. Okay, we have written in terms of differential equations, or you can write in terms of integrals also. So those equations have to be used here to solve the solution. Okay. So this way we can represent this, what you can, these absorbing boundary conditions and others in numerical calculations. These things are used not only in finite difference, even in finite element also, we do the same thing. Okay. So now for 3D also, so now we have discussed for one-dimensional medium. So now in 3 dimensions, I think yesterday I showed you this paper, Graves, followed, right? So all of you downloaded this paper. This BSSA paper I showed you, right, where he has done the staggered grid and all those things comes. So you can download, or maybe I will send you in WhatsApp also. Okay. So now in 3D, like yesterday I told you, what's the problem we have? See what is how the staggered grid looks like, So as I already told you, right? So you have to match time derivative. You have to match 3 spatial derivatives, different. So automatically you will get a staggered grid actually. Okay. So velocity Vx will be at some point, Vy will be at some point, Vz will be at some other point. Normal stresses, sigma xx, sigma yy, sigma z, right? They will be defined at some other point. Then you have the shear stresses, say, okay, so they will be defined at at some other points itself. So this is how the grid comes, and it comes natural. We are not doing anything, because we have to match at a point their derivatives. Okay, so this problem comes and you will get a staggered grid. Okay, so if you see this Graves paper, or even Mogzo, the textbook, Mogzo textbook, say, so he gives followed it big the equations are there. Okay, you would have seen in the finite difference textbook, say. So if you see page number 171, he gives all these big the equations, but concept is same itself. So you can rederive these expressions and you can try here. Okay. So now the last thing in our finite difference approach. So here also, when it comes to 3D, you can do 2 comma 2, 2 comma 4, or 4 comma 4. I hope all of you remember these things. So the time accuracy, space accuracy, how you are modeling the spatial derivative, how you are modeling the time derivative. Okay, so generally in our many of the modeling people say they use this 2 comma 4 scheme most of the calculations. Okay, so sometimes if you want more accuracy, then you can go for 4 comma 4 itself. Now here the last most important thing in our 3D is the we have to understand this dispersion. Okay, in 3 dimensions. This is a very the important thing. Okay, so now just we will just see this last topic, that is stability and dispersion in our 3D scheme. Okay, so in this velocity stress formulation, and let us say our scheme is 2 comma 4. Okay, so let us just see this thing itself. Now in our 3 dimensions, you say how many waves will be there in an infinite medium. Like how many, one-dimensional wave equation is perfectly fine, but when you are talking in terms of 2D, say how many material parameter, or how many types of waves are possible, how many velocities will be there. So in a medium, say how many types of waves are there, like in a wave equation, like in our continuum mechanics. No, if you have all the equations, you can break them into 2 type of equations, right? How many type of waves are there? So in infinite medium, how many types of waves are there?
3.
What are those three?
SH, SV and P.
No, SH, SV both are same. Okay, so how many
Then
are
P
there?
and S.
So two waves
P
are
and
there. They are related to your velocities, alpha, beta. You remember, root of lambda plus 2 mu by rho, and beta is root of mu by rho. Okay, so one is related to shear modulus, another one anyway is related to the Young's modulus kind of a thing. So these two waves will be there. So now when you are solving a three-dimensional problem, so now the question comes. Okay, so now like we have seen, right, dispersion equation. So we have a P wave, then we have S wave. So when you are talking about this stability and dispersion, say P wave velocity will be different, S wave velocity will be different. So now my sampling in time, say my sampling in time delta t, and then sampling in space, okay, that is h in x direction, y direction, z direction. I have to what is that I have to use actually, which wave velocity, which wave governs my this stability as well as the dispersion relations. So if I want to select my delta t, that is the time, this one say the current stability, like previously we have seen, it depends on the wave velocity also, that c or something, we wrote long back, I think some c delta by h, you remember, s is equal to, like that we wrote, where c was our the phase velocity, which is nothing but the wave velocity. So in my one dimensional wave equation, I have only one wave was there. But now when you are solving 3D, you have a P wave, you have a S wave. So now my stability is, so I will be having two, the dispersion curves, say. We had only one curve. Now I will have two curves, one for P wave, another one is for the shear wave. So now how do I choose my delta T and H, say, when I am having waves which travel with a different, the velocities itself. So this becomes, very, very important problem. Not only this one, suppose if material properties are changing, say like for example, I have a layered medium. Okay, so here my alpha 1, beta 1, alpha 2, beta 2, say. So then you have several, you followed, right, material velocities are possible. So how do I take a decision actually? Okay, so that is the most important thing one should understand in 3 dimensions. Okay, but layered medium is very easy, but we will just go for a only one layer is there. I have only two waves, that is alpha and beta. Let us just see this quickly. Okay, so now our equations, all of so if I write in this indicel notations, okay, sorry. No. So if I write in indicel notation, so this is my velocity stress formulation. So this is dou sigma ij by dou xj, and the stress equations. So we have 6 equations are dou sigma ij by using dou t. So this is lambda. So dou v. Okay, so we are writing everything in terms of stress and velocity. So dou xk. So delta ij plus v. So dou vi by dou xj plus dou vj by dou xi. Okay, so these are my equations, that is the velocity stress formulation in 3 dimensions. And of course I, j and then k, they run from 1 to 3. Okay, so now these are basically 3 equations. Okay, so because we have dou v1 by dou t, dou v2, v3, 3 velocities are there, but whereas these equations are 6 equations are there. So total in 3 dimensions, say. So we are having 9 equations to solve in a velocity stress formulation. Okay, so this one has to remember. So in velocity stress formulation, 9 equations are there. So this is the most the important thing. Okay, so now so let us assume that I have unbounded medium right now for to understand this one. Now how do I study stability? So if I want to find out stability of any differential equation, say what is that I have to do? How do I find out a
Plane wave
dispersion curve?
equation.
What?
We have to
Plane
substitute
wave
plane
equation.
wave
But
equation.
here, what is a plane wave here? So if I have any function, some phi, which is 3 dimensions. Okay. Now here we are having stresses. We have velocities also. So I, K, L. So you have to write plane wave solution. So my plane wave will be something like this. So e to the power of, okay, But only problem here is, we have, so many coefficients are there. So many stresses and these are there, and of course they are varying in all three dimensions. So the equation becomes, omega m into delta minus kx I into h minus ky, okay, some k, capital K into h minus, okay, so I have kz L into H. So this is, I have to substitute this and to study the stability equation. So this is 5 say, okay, so they denotes Vi or sigma j. So you have to substitute for V1, V2, V3, same expression, but this varies actually, okay, the coefficient only varies. So V1, V2, V3, then sigma 1, sigma 2, sigma 3, all those things you have to substitute in those equations. So we have all the, but only advantage what we have in velocity stress formulation, all the derivatives, whether it is a time derivative or a spatial derivative, all are only first order derivatives. There is no second order derivative which comes in the velocity stress formulation. So dou phi by dou t. So if I want to find out derivative with respect to time, so m I capital K L. Okay, so this derivative, if you write it in central difference format, so phi I K L. So this is a time derivative. So m plus half minus say phi I K L. So m minus the half. Okay, and already we have calculated all these derivatives long back. You can write this expression as I into 2 by delta. So here what to do is you substitute this expression. Okay, so now phi I K L m plus half. So this will be same expression. Instead of m, we have to substitute m plus half. Now this, for this same equation, you have to substitute m is equal to m minus half. So e to the power of, all of them get cancelled or whatever these things becomes. So you can write this expression as so sine is it half omega hat into delta. So once again phi m I K L. So if I denote this as some s of omega, say I can write this expression as I into, so 2 by delta S W phi m I K L. So this is my first derivative with respect to time. Okay. Now similarly, say with respect to space also. So m I K L. So now I am using in a 2, 4 scheme. So for time domain I am using a second order scheme, but in the space say we are using a fourth order scheme. So the fourth order derivative will be like this, the spatial derivative. So 9 by 8. So phi m. So I plus half k and l minus phi m I minus the half k comma l. So this is my this term minus 1 by 24, because my scheme is 2, 4. Okay, second order in time, fourth order in space. So that's why we are writing like this. So phi m I plus 3 by 2 k and l minus phi m. So I plus I minus 3 by 2 k comma l. So this is my fourth order derivative. So now here also you substitute this plane wave equation. So what you have to do is, wherever you have I say, okay, so you replace I with I plus half, I minus half, I plus 3 by 2, like that, and then you see you calculate the terms here. So finally, this turns out to be, okay, so this derivative, so you can write this derivative as minus I, so 2 by h sx, so phi m I K L. Okay, so where this sx is saying, okay, so this is nothing but 9 by 8. So sine half is it kh minus 1 by 24, say sine 3 by 2 kx bar into h. Suppose if I used second formulation, so 2, 2 formulation, what will be this derivative? See, here I have used 4 terms. So this is a 2, 4 scheme. Suppose if it was a 2, 2, say in time space also, if it is second order, what will be this derivative? What will be the derivative? Here I have used 4 terms, to compute this first order derivative. If I have used, the second order derivative, say, how this derivative will look like. See this derivative here. So this
Same
is the
as the
second order.
5 by 13.
So both are, see this here, S, what is S of omega? Half omega bar into delta. Okay. Now here what is S of x? Because it is a fourth order, I have got 9 by 8, 1 by 24. Suppose if I have taken second order, say, my Sx also will be same as sine half h into, sorry, kx into h itself. You remember? So this becomes sine, the half kx bars into this h itself. So this comes because of fourth order only. We have this 9 by 8, 1 by 24 and all other things itself. Now in a similar format, say, I will do for all the derivatives, okay, with respect to y and with respect to z. This is a problem. In 3D, you have all the derivatives are there. So, we write as, so dou phi by dou psi, say, okay. So m I comma, k comma l. So this can be written as minus I, so 2 by h, some s of psi, okay. So phi m I comma k comma l, where s of psi, so this is 9 by 8, so sine half k psi into h minus 1 by 24, okay. So sine so 3 by 2 psi into h, where our psi is nothing but x comma y comma z. So this is how we write the derivative. These all these terms actually. So now you substitute, say, so substitute this derivatives. So substitute the derivatives, okay, of stress as well as for the velocities in velocity stress equations. In the velocity stress the equations. That is these equations, the basic equations are there. So here you substitute, okay. So here in this terms you follow it, you substitute vi, all the derivatives are there, this term, then this derivative, all those derivatives, is you substitute all these terms, okay. So now what happens is now if I substitute all the terms, you will get some big equations comes. So I will just write some few of them. So first the velocity, this equation, that is rho dou vi by dou t is equal to dou sigma ij by dou xj. So these are 3 equations, okay. So now you substitute all those terms. So what happens is minus rho, so h by delta s omega, say, into vx. So this will be sx sigma xx plus sy, so sigma xy plus sz sigma xz, okay. Now the second equation, so minus rho h by delta sw into vy, velocity in the y direction. So sy into sigma yy plus sz into sigma yz plus sx into sigma yx, and other ones minus rho h by delta sw into vz, now velocity in the z direction. So sz into sigma zz plus sx into sigma zx plus sy into sigma zy. So this is the 3 equations, okay. So after substituting that plane wave solution, e to the power of I omega delta minus kx ih minus ky, and then that kz l times h itself. So now these are the velocities. So now we have to substitute other equation, that is this one, dou sigma ij by dou t. So this is lambda, so dou vk, say, by dou xk delta ij. So these are velocity stress equations. So dou vi by dou xj plus dou vj by dou xi. So here also you substitute, but here these are 6 equations are there for the stresses, okay. So big these are huge equations, 3 normal and 3 the shear stresses. So if you write minus h by delta, so I have s omega into sigma xx, because on the right hand side you are having on the left hand side you are having temporal derivatives, but on the right hand side you are having spatial derivatives. So wherever there is a temporal derivative, say s omega comes, wherever there is a spatial derivative, say so sx, sy, and then sz, these terms comes into picture. So this becomes sx into vx plus sy into vy plus sz into vz, and of course plus 2 mu times sx into vx. So this is the first equation. Now similarly say minus h by delta, so s omega, so sigma yy. So first we are writing for the normal stresses, sx into vx plus sy. So this term is going to remain same, okay, plus 2 mu, so sy into vy, okay. Now similarly say for the third normal stress, sigma zz, okay. So this equation is going to remain same. Only thing is, so 2 mu sz into vz. So this is the third equation. Now we write for the shear stresses. So minus h by delta sw, so sigma xy. So this is simply mu into sy into ux or vx plus sx into vy, and similarly say minus h by delta sw into sigma xz sx into vz plus sz into vx, and similarly you can write for the other component also. So sigma yz, so this is mu into sz into vy plus sy into vz. So these are the final equations actually, okay. So you write for all the, so total how many are there? So 6 plus 3, so 9 equations are there in velocity stress formulation. So now to derive our dispersion relations, what we try to do is, so now here these equations, all the stresses are expressed in terms of velocity. So you substitute these equations in these expressions. So here these three equations are there, right? So now in these equations we have sigma xx, sigma xy, all the stress components are there. So now what to do is these whatever we have written, so you substitute in these equations here. So finally these 9 equations can be clubbed into simple 3 equations itself. So substitute, okay, sorry. So all of them you combine all the substitute stresses. Okay, so this is stresses, okay, sigma ij in the velocity equations. So you will get only 3 equations, right? So some rho h square by del square s square omega vx. So this is mu sx square plus sy square plus sz square into vx plus so lambda plus mu, okay. So sx square vx plus sx sy vy plus sx sz into vz, okay. So this is the first equation. Then you have another equation also, h square by del square s square omega, so vy, okay. So now this term is going to be same, so everything remains the same, only extra term is vy, okay. This remains same, and here also we have lambda plus mu, so this term will be different, sy square into vy plus sy sz into vz plus sy sx into vx, okay. And the third equation, say this also is more or less similar, s square vz. So this term is going to remain same, so mu into sx square, this one, only thing is vz is the extra term, that's all, but this term will be slightly different. So lambda plus mu, so sz square into vz plus sz sx into vx sz sy into vy. So these are the final the equations. So finally that 9 equations, if you combine, you can write everything in terms of 3 equations. So now this we have to understand to derive our dispersion equation, okay. So now we define for dispersion, so we define some quantities. So we define some quantities like this to just write nicely. So we define one quantity like this. So h square by del square s times omega, and we define some sigmas there. Sx square plus sy square plus sz square. Okay, then we have beta square as mu by rho, and then some zeta squares as lambda plus mu by rho. Okay, so we define all these quantities. So now the above equations you can write it in this matrix form also. So vx, vy, vz, and this right hand side, so you can see these expressions. Okay, so now these expressions on the left hand side also we have velocities, vx, vy, vz. Right hand side also we have velocity. So we have eliminated the stresses from our the calculations. Okay, so from the equations, after eliminating the stresses, so everything is in terms of velocities only. So now if you write this in a nice matrix format, say, so psi square sx square plus b square sigma. Okay, so I will just write this one. So psi square is lambda plus mu by rho. So is this one, and psi square sx sy, and then we have psi square sx sz. Okay, now here we have other term is psi square sy sx, then psi square sz, and then sx. Then we have a psi square equal plus beta square into this sigma, and psi square sy sz. Okay, so psi square sz sy, then we have psi square sz plus beta squares some sigma multiplied by once again vx, vy, vz. You followed. So this is our final the expression. Suppose if it was one dimensional wave equation, say how you will write, what is the dispersion equation if it is 1D, like previously we have derived how the dispersion equation looks like. So in one dimension, so previously we have derived what happens in one dimension. So if it is a one dimension, what happens, how many velocities are there in one dimension? See, in the one dimensional wave equation which you have written previously, how many are there in the velocities? See, people are there. So in 1D wave equation, if it is one dimension, say, how many will be there?
Yes, sir. Only one will be there, no?
What is that one? That is only Vx will be there. You followed. All other things will be 0. So now if it is one dimensional problem, so what happens? This equation, so you have this will go away, this will go away, all these terms go away. You followed. So lambda plus me, all the terms goes away. So you will be having only sx square itself. So rho h square by del square s square omega, that Vx will be, you see, mu into sx square only. So that only will be there. So for one dimensional equation, you can, so in 1D it is only just a term because it is a 3D say. So you get 3 by 3 matrix. If it was one dimension, you have only this term will be there. Okay, all others will be 0, 0 itself. So now so this is our dispersion relation. So this equation you can write as so if you denote this as a the matrix say here, so you can write this expression as m minus some identity matrix multiplied by this Vx, Vy, and then Vz. So this is on the right hand side 0, 0, 0. So m is this matrix. So here also Vx, Vy, Vz, here also Vx, Vy, Vz are there. You followed, right? So you can combine all of them into one together. So now so to find out dispersion or stability, so what is that you have to do? So previously we have solved this velocity stress. How did we calculate dispersion? Do you remember? I think maybe last week or we have calculated this for velocity stress formulation. How did we calculate dispersion?
We found out G matrix.
So that is for 2,
Norm of the
2.
yes. is less than 1. If
So
the eigenvalues are less than 1, then
followed. So I hope you remember. So in velocity stress formulation, definitely we'll have a matrix. You remember. So you know previously we have done forward in time, forward in space. We found out that it is unstable. But forward in time, central in space, it was our central in time, central in space was stable solution. So there also we wrote in a 2 by 2 matrix or 4 by 4 matrix kind of a thing, and then we did all those calculations. Okay, so now to be stable, what you have to do is the determinant of this matrix. Okay, so this you have to check. You followed. So determinant of the matrix has to be found out. So now here if you denote some other quantity, okay, so if you bring some d which is defined as beta square sigma minus because there are so many terms are there, so you can write this matrix say. So that matrix can be written as sx square plus d sx sy, then sx into sz, then sx xy, and it is a symmetric matrix, plus d, then sy sz, sz square plus d sy sz, okay, sx sz kind of a thing. So determinant of this matrix has to be 0. So finally the matrix determinant becomes d square sx square plus sy square plus sz square say. So this is equal to 0. Okay, so the two roots will be there. One will be plus sy square plus sz square is equal to 0, or d is equal to 0 itself. So finally we get our the dispersion equations. So you substitute all those sx sy sz, and then a d is also term is there, so you will get you followed it. So finally the dispersion relations will be like this. So you substitute the previous what is sx sy and all other terms in 8.7 this equation set. So you get finally, so sine square half is omega into delta square by h square alpha square, so sx square plus sy square plus sz square. So this is one equation we have. Another equation will be omega into delta. So we get delta square by h square, beta square will come now, h square plus sy square plus sz square, where alpha is root of lambda plus 2 mu by rho, and then beta is root of mu by rho. So you will get two dispersion relations, one for P wave, another one is for the shear wave. So this is a P wave dispersion, this is the shear wave dispersion. So now for our stability, what should be the criteria? Now what is the criteria for stability? See now what should be the criteria? See sines all, what is this sinusoidal? So all sine terms sx sy sz all are sine terms. What is the amplitude of the sine wave?
So 1.
Minus
Amplitude is
1 to minus 1 to 1. So now if you want to get a stable solution, say long back we have discussed when the velocity stress formulation, all the I think 2 2 2 4 we have given, right? S square into s2 square, you remember? I think you plotted the
Yes.
graphs
Yes, sir.
also.
Yes, sir.
So same formulations here if you try to do. So now for the P wave we will get one stability solution, for shear wave you will get one stability solution, and you can do all the whatever we have done previously. It turns out to be delta say, okay, should be less than 6 by some 7 times root 3 h by alpha. So this is for the P wave for stability. Then for the shear wave, say 6 by 7 root 3 h by beta. So this is how this comes. You can plot them and you can verify, okay, for variety of cases, the stability equations itself. So this is the delta, that is a time the increment say. So your time increment should be selected based on these two. Now which one you will select? One is based on the P wave. So if I fix the spatial, so let us say I have fixed my h, let us say my h is 1 kilometer distance or whatever. So now what should be my delta t? Now I should decide on based on alpha or beta, which one will be smaller?
beta is smaller.
Beta is smaller, so what will be delta?
It will be more.
This will delta will be more. Now when it depends on alpha, Alpha is a p wave velocity. Generally, p wave velocity will be more than the shear wave velocity. So what happens? So if you want to have stable p waves, okay, so the delta from this one will be how much? To have a stability, so p wave velocity will be more than alpha will be greater than beta. So from this formula, so delta for p wave, this will be smaller than delta required for shear waves actually, you remember. So this happens. So now in my simulations say, so when you are trying to stability, it depends controlled by a shear wave or p wave. Yeah, so now, so if my, if it is, if I want to say 1 kilometer, say, let us say I have fixed my spatial domain and I know beta also. So let us say from the shear waves, I will get a delta as 0.01 seconds, say. And for p wave, I will get a delta as, some 0.005 seconds. Now, which one? So now in my calculations, because anyway, p wave, yes, all of them will be there in my simulations. So what should be my delta? I should take this or I should take this?
0.005.
Suppose if I take this, what happens? Suppose if I take this, what happens?
It will become unstable and it will go
Which will become
exponentially.
unstable. If I take 0.01, which will become unstable? Shear wave is stable only. You
So P
understand?
will
P
become
wave will be unstable. So P waves generally, they reach early actually, and then shear wave comes like this, So now what happens if P wave is this unstable? So P wave starts growing exponentially actually. So automatically you followed, right? Your simulation goes down. So this is a very, very important thing in our numerical simulations. So whenever you are doing in complete 3D simulation, the stability, okay, the stability of the solution is controlled by which wave? P or shear?
P wave.
P wave is the one which controls stability, not the shear waves. Okay, so this is a very, very important thing one has to sync actually. Okay, so this one has to remember when you are doing calculations, numerical FEM or finite difference or whatever, say stability depends on P wave velocity, not on the shear wave velocity. Okay, so this is the one which controls stability. So if I define some stability ratio, say 7 root 3 by 6, some alpha by h into delta. So this is stability ratio. Okay, so if I define some quantity p, so the condition for a time step. Okay, so generally some p 6 by 7 root 3 h by alpha, and p lies between 0 to 1. So this is the criteria. Okay, so now if you want to do any simulations, say, so first you fix up h, the time increment, the spatial increment you fix, the p wave velocity also. So now this p, say, you can take it to be 1, or to have a better resolution, the p can be decreased. So what it means is, so if you have got a delta as 0.005 second for p wave set, so in simulations what to do is we take slightly lower side actually. Okay, 4 or maybe less than this. So this is like a limit. If you take any delta value more than this, means you will get unstable solutions. So what to do is slightly lesser than this we take. That is what is controlled by this p. That is a stability ratio. If p is 1, say, so that means exact 0.005 you are taking here. So this is a very, very important thing in our numerical simulations. Okay. So now when it comes to so these for the time steps. For the instability we have done. So now if you write this the grid velocities dispersion curves. Now this stability is over. Now we will come to dispersion. Okay, so p wave, right, grid dispersion long back we have discussed here. So now alpha bar, this is a grid velocity, this is a original velocity. Okay, so 2 by you can write alpha into k alpha into delta. So sine inverse, so arc sine delta by h alpha sx square plus sy square plus z square whole to the power of half here. And for the shear wave, say, so beta, this is a grid, whatever you are got in finite difference, this is exact velocity of beta. So 2 by beta into k beta into delta, so arc sine, so delta by h, so beta sx square plus sy square plus sz square whole to the power. How did we get this one? From the same equation only. So this whatever equations are there, no, you do, you take this sine in, you take square root on both the sides, and this sine term, say you write this one, so it becomes a sine inverse. Okay, so sine inverse of del by h into alpha, same thing only. These are the grid dispersion curves. Okay, so and you substitute omega by k, you followed it, that will give you the velocity. So c is omega by k, so alpha hat is nothing but omega hat by k, kind of a thing you put it. So this is what we have done here. Okay, so alpha hat, say this is nothing but omega hat by k alpha, and the beta hat, say is omega hat by k beta. Okay, that is how we have defined. So these are the dispersion curves. So now here, so as already we said, the time step, say the time step is controlled by p wave. So alpha is equal to, so p 6 by 7 root 3, and delta by h beta, say. So this is also p by r, 6 by 7 root 3. So r is equal to alpha by, you see, beta itself. Now coming to the spatial sampling. Okay, so now we are discussing about h. What should be the h, how I should select or something. So now for the p waves, let us say for p wave, the sampling is lambda p by h. So this many points per, and for s wave, and n lambda p, this one. Okay, now so now for when it comes to this spatial sampling. Okay, so now wavelength for p will be more, or wavelength for shear wave will be more? Whose wavelength will be more? What do you mean by wavelength? I hope all of you know, right? In spatial domain, so if, this is in x, so you followed, right? I have the wave like this, so this is what we call as lambda. Okay, and now lambda for which wave will be more, p or s?
So shear will be more, S will be more, sir.
S will be more. How can you say that?
So P waves reaches very fast, travel very fast.
So
So I am
velocity
thinking
is
that
no, don't. So for what is the expression? What is the relationship between velocity and lambda? That you have studied, no, in your 10th class or 6th class. What is the famous equation you have studied? Velocity and lambda. What is V is equal to? What is that expression you studied? Velocity of a wave. Say how it is velocity and wavelength are related.
Is equal to nu lambda.
Where V is equal to n times lambda. You remember? This is nothing but frequency. You followed, right? So now so we have velocity of alpha and n into lambda alpha, then v beta n into lambda beta. Okay, now for same frequency, so for same frequency, whose lambda will be more? And we know that velocity of alpha will be more than velocity of beta. So v alpha by lambda alpha, and here n is equal to v beta by lambda to the power of beta, say. So for same frequency, if n has to remain same, say, so now v of alpha is more than the v of beta. V beta is very, very small actually. So if this, and this is very long, so to get the same frequency, say, so lambda of a p wave will be very long, whereas lambda of this one will be very followed, right, small. So for the same frequency, so for p wave, say, if the lambda is like this, say, okay, so this is for the p wave. Now generally for the shear wave, lambda will be this much only. You followed? So this is lambda for S, lambda for P wave. So generally lambda of shear wave will be smaller than lambda of the P wave, because anyway, because on the velocity only this comes actual. Okay, so now if you want to do the spatial sampling, say, which is more important for you, P or S? In a time, P was important for you, but in space, which is important for you?
Yes.
so S is important.
Why? Suppose if I go
Because
by this
lambda is more.
p wave, say, I will take 1 point here, 1 point here, some 1 point here, 1 point here, and 1 point. If I sample like this, what happens? Because lambda s is small, I may miss this peak itself. So the peaks of S wave you followed, right? I am going to miss, if I go by the p wave. So now, so your time increment is controlled by p wave, but the spatial increment has to be controlled by which wave? P or S?
Yes, sir.
Because S wave lambda is very, very small. So if you sample, go by P wave, So you will sample with 5 points, but S wave, because it may be having 2-3 peaks in that 5 points itself, you may miss this waves itself. So these are very, very important in 3D simulations. So time is dictated by, see, the time increment, and we have spatial increment. Okay, time increment is dictated by which wave?
P
P
waves.
wave.
P wave, or if you want a simulation, the fastest velocity. That is a, you can just write this one. You followed it, the fastest traveling wave. Suppose if we are having a layered medium, say, so each medium will have one P wave, one shear wave, like that. So which velocity you should use? No,
Maximum velocity.
the fastest. That means in the half space velocity itself you have to use it. Now spatial increment is controlled by, no,
Yes, sir.
S wave or which wave?
Longest wavelength.
That means in terms
Lowest
of velocity, lowest
speed.
velocity.
Lowest.
You followed, right? Of course it can be shear wave or it can be whatever. So this is how, this is a very, very important thing in the numerical simulations. Okay, so this many, we don't know, you followed, right? So you have to choose based on these two, then only you will get nice solutions. And already I told you, time increment is related to stability, spatial increment is related to
Dispersion.
dispersion actually. So you can say stability is controlled by which wave? No, P wave. So dispersion is controlled by the lowest shear wave. So these how you have to very careful. So now you can plot all these terms, the dispersion curves, alpha bar by alpha. You take say 7 root 3 r n lambda. You followed, right? Yes, you substitute all those terms by pi times p arc sine. So p, then 6 by 7 root 3 sx square plus sy square plus sz square all to the power of half. Okay, so this is my dispersion curve for p wave, then dispersion curve for shear wave. So 7 root 3 by 6 r n lambda. Yes, we have replaced only, nothing else. Okay, we are writing in terms of number of sample points. So arc sine, so everything remains the same. So p by r, so 6 by 7 root 3. Okay, so this is going to remain same, sx square plus sy square plus sz square half. So these are our expressions. Okay, so now you can plot these functions. Okay, so what you can do is you can plot these functions for this one. So alpha hat by alpha set. Okay, so you can plot, so how they they look like actually versus n lambda. Okay, how many number of sample points are required. So and similarly you can plot beta hat with respect to beta versus n lambda. Okay, so now in a reality, say what is that you expect, what you remember those curves already you people have plotted, how this curve will look, what is ideal curve? No, so ideal curve is which one? How do you remember, right? You already plotted this one. So n lambda 2 sample points, 4 like this, 8, if it 12, 14 like that. So which means your spatial sampling is increasing actual. Okay, so 2 samples means 1 point here, 1 point here. 4 samples means you are 1 2 3 4 like that. You see, you are increasing the number of sample points. So now what happens as n lambda increases, what will be alpha hat to alpha? So alpha hat is your velocity in the finite difference grid. This is your exact solution. This is analytical, whatever analytic velocity. What happens as n lambda increases? What happens? All the curve should go towards
Both will be same almost.
same means what?
Should go towards 1, sir.
1. So this is how you expect everything should go towards 1 itself. As n lambda increases, you follow, right? They all of them should match to this itself. Okay. So now, but only catch here is when you try to plot this curves, you have this sx, sy, sz. All the 3 terms will be there. So sometimes what one does is you can plot with respect to instead of talking in terms of x, y, and z. We try to plot in terms of angles also. So like for example, this is my 3 dimensions. Sorry, this is my 3D. So follow, right? So let us I have a wave. So this is my wave cell. Okay. So if I plot here, So this is my wave here. So this is my these things, instead of plotting in terms of so this is my phi, this is my delta. So instead of talking in terms of x, y, z, say, I can plot with respect to phi delta. So this is my wave. You follow, right? I can plot in terms of phi delta. So you can convert actually sx, sy, sz in terms of this the cos phi, cos z kind of a thing. So like for example, you say kx into h, say. So 2 pi by r, n lambda s cos phi sine delta. So you can plot in terms of angles, that means the wave is propagating at what angle. So you can have, I told you, right, wave can this direction, you remember. So this direction, like 90-degree wave, 0-degree wave, 45 degrees waves. Now in 3D, say, you can have the wave can go in two angles can come actually. Okay, so you can write in terms of angles, and you can plot also. So for what angle wave, which angle wave will disperse, which angle wave will not disperse, so these equations are there. So you can plot this figure. So if you see that textbook of this, Mogso, the finite difference textbook, you can see page number 160, 197. Okay, so he has plotted this 197 and 198. So you can plot these graphs also. Okay, so he has plotted nicely the dispersion, and you can see that for S waves, the dispersion is extremely high actually. Okay, so S wave, I told you, right, dispersion is controlled by the this shear waves. So for example, you see, so if I take very less number of samples, say P waves, they almost come like this, but S wave will be, the error will be more. So if you are making a less number of samples, say, okay, so like this, so S waves, disperse, followed, right? The error will be more in shear waves compared to this P waves. Okay, so this is a very, very important thing in our numerical calculations when you are doing in 3 dimensions. So this, you have to keep it in mind. And you people, you can this page number 197, 198, you see the textbook. Okay, so you can plot this curves in MATLAB. So you will understand this dispersion and stability in a better fashion. Okay, so with this, I think we can close this finite difference method. There are of course some more issues are there, like how do you represent P wave, S wave, that PML boundary conditions. I have told you only one, but now if you want to write PML boundary condition, you can have in terms of shear wave, you can have in terms of P wave also. But it is very easy to, you can do it yourself. So that Mogso textbook, he gives, there is one special chapter, 12 is there. On perfectly matched layer, how to do it in a 3 dimension. It's very, very simple. There is no, like you have seen it, stability and dispersion, how we wrote for 1D, now how we are writing for the 3D. So same thing, only the number of equations will be more, but the P wave, shear wave, you have two separate things itself. Okay, so I think we will close this finite difference method with this. I think this much is sufficient for your understanding. So now from the next class, we will start this pseudo spectral methods. So this we are going to start from our next class onwards. Okay, and then this we will cover very quickly because it's a very simple method. Then we will go towards a finite element, and then we will do that and spectral element method itself. So the concept is very, very easy and straightforward. Okay, so we'll start in our next class. So I will stop here. So if you have any questions, you can ask. So now all of you are able to follow.
Yes, sir.
Of course,